What's going on, everyone? So the Cleveland Cavaliers have not gotten off to the start that they had hoped, right? Now, there is still a lot of hope and promise that, hey, the Cavs are going to be very good this year. They looked solid last year. They have a very good, talented core, and many believe that, hey, they can turn it around. They just got a huge win against the Golden State Warriors, who they were really cruising and looking good this year, and they're getting ready to take on the Oklahoma City Thunder today, which would be another great win because their schedule is pretty rough these next handful of games. So they got the Thunder, which Thunder have been pretty good too this year. The Warriors again in Golden State. Then they got Sacramento in Sacramento. Then they have the Blazers, which they should win. The Pistons, which that could be tough for them. And then you got the Nuggets and the Sixers. So again, the Cavs got to start righting the ship here a little bit. Otherwise, they're going to be in some real trouble. Now, their wins have, again, been noticeable. They beat the Knicks. They beat the Nets. But they haven't beaten any of that top-tier team yet, though they haven't really played that. You got losses to the Thunder, losses to the Pacers, and then losses to the Pacers again. So for whatever reason, the Pacers seem to have the Cleveland Cavaliers number. But, again, you right the ship, rattle off a couple wins here, all of a sudden, everything looks good again. Problem is that there is a lot of thought and expectation that Donovan Mitchell is probably going to leave at some point. Now, Donovan Mitchell has said, that, hey, he'd love to stay here in a contract extension, all that stuff. We've heard that, right? How many times have we heard a player say, I'm going to be here my whole career, or, I want to extend, I want to stay here, and then next thing you know, they're requesting a trade and asking out. And if the Cavs don't kind of right the ship here, and all of a sudden, let's say they lose to the Thunder and the Warriors and the Kings, and now they go on a 3-game losing streak, and now they're 3-7, and that doesn't start turning around at some point, all of a sudden, that Donovan Mitchell, hey, I want out, could be on the horizon. Now, the Cavs are in no rush to trade him this year, right? They still have another year minimum with Donovan Mitchell to where they could kind of just ride through this season, see what they could do in the offseason, and then maybe potentially look to move him if they don't believe that he's going to resign, or if he says, hey, I want out, because he has $32.6 million this year, then he has $34.8 million next year, and then in the 2025-2026 season, he has a player option. So again, that's the earliest in which he could depart on his own. But if you don't have success this year, and you're a play-in team or a first-round exit or something like that, or you miss the playoffs entirely, does he look at it and go, hey, I need to get out of here. I want to win, right? So get me to a team in which I can win. Because you got to remember, his destination wasn't the Cleveland Cavaliers. He wanted to go to the Knicks. He thought he was going to the Knicks. The Knicks thought that they had him. So, if he's not winning in Cleveland, then it's why would I be here, right? At worst, I'm just as good, if not, let's say better, even just slightly better with the Knicks or somebody, then I could get out, right? And I'd still make the same money. I'd be in a place that I want, maybe even make more money because of just the bigger market, whatever, right? You can start to piece together Donovan Mitchell going, hey, get me out of here. Again, they don't have to trade him this season, but you got to imagine that they're probably looking to move him this offseason because I don't see them running the risk of losing him for nothing, right? They didn't give up a ton for him, but they still gave up something, and he's a guy that is very valuable that could get a nice return. But one of the teams that is monitoring Donovan Mitchell heavily, which makes a lot of sense, right? Cleveland has been a little rough, is the 76ers. Now, the 76ers, they traded James Harden, right? James Harden is now a Los Angeles Clipper, and they got some assets. They have their own assets, and the idea is okay, we'll use everything we got in the Clippers trade, use everything that we have now, and go get that other star to pair with Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid. And so the Cavs, they could end up working out some type of deal if Donovan Mitchell wants out to maybe make a push to send him to the Sixers and then get a bunch of, picks and things like that. player-wise, I don't know what kind of players would really make sense for the Cavs. I mean, obviously, Tyrese Maxey. If you could get Maxey, that'd be beautiful. But I don't see them trading Maxey, right? They're going to want to keep Tyrese Maxey. That's the whole idea. And kind of run him, Donovan Mitchell, and Joel Embiid. But, it's like, one, does Donovan Mitchell want to go to the Sixers? Because if he does, then he could kind of push for that. Two, what do the other teams look like that want to go and acquire Donovan Mitchell? Right? Like, do the Knicks still want Donovan Mitchell? To be honest, I don't really know why they would. Right? I don't know why they wanted Donovan Mitchell to begin with, because they have Jalen Brunson, right? And you're going to have like a tiny backcourt that's going to be a defensive liability. And then on top of that, like Brunson and Mitchell are kind of the same type of player in many ways. Like, so I just don't think that makes a ton of sense in my opinion. But a team like the Sixers, like, sure, like I do. Like they kind of need it, right? And you need to try to keep Joel Embiid happy. But like if the Knicks get involved, they have more than enough to outbid the Sixers. So to me, it just kind of comes down to what competition do the Sixers have out there? Like how many teams are lining up to go and acquire Donovan Mitchell? And even beyond draft picks, right? Because do the Cavs need the draft picks? Right? Or do they want the players? So maybe the Sixers could go and use that stuff to go and get a player that the Cavs want, right? So there's always ways, right? There's always ways to kind of figure stuff out. Maybe the Cavs are like, hey, we don't want that. We want young players, or we want like a mid-tier guy or something like that. It doesn't necessarily have to be a star, but we want somebody that can come in and make an impact. Maybe at that point, maybe the Sixers are looking for a 3-team deal or 4-team deal, and they're just giving up the assets to another team who then is sending a player to a Cavaliers, right? Like the Sixers have like the contract. Like you got like Tobias Harris's contract, right? They got all the expiring contracts and like Covington, Batum's, Morris from the Clippers. So they have the salaries. But again, none of those players really make sense for the Cavs, who, if they lose Donovan Mitchell, are still going to be a good young team that can compete. So they're going to want to stay the course of like, hey, we're not in the process of rebuilding. We're in the process of building. So they're probably going to want some more building blocks if there were a potential trade, which I don't necessarily think the Sixers have outside of, again, of course, Maxey, which I don't see them wanting to give up. But if the Sixers could find any way to land a Donovan Mitchell, then I think that would be huge for them. And I'm sure that there are other teams that are going to be kind of keeping a close eye on Donovan Mitchell, especially if the Cavs just continue this downward trend in which they are. Because, I mean, Donovan Mitchell, 27 years old, he's averaging almost 33 points per game this season, 5 rebounds, almost 6 assists on 53.8% shooting. So the guy has been super efficient. The guy is just getting absolute buckets for the Cavs. And, I mean, that's what he's good at, right? He's a guy that could go put the ball in the hoop. And through 6 games, he's averaged 36 minutes, shooting 40% from 3 on 9.5 attempts, which is huge, right? I mean, he's shooting almost 10 attempts per game this season, and he's averaging 40% from 3. He's averaging 64.4% from 2-point range on 12.2 attempts per game. The guy is lighting it up. The guy is absolutely lighting it up and giving you 32.5 points per game. Like, that is insane. Like, if that holds up, that's his highest point total of his career. Last year was the highest at 28.3. Before that, he was kind of like a 24 to 26 point a game guy. So this guy is absolutely balling. And there are definitely going to be teams that are going to be interested and wanting a Donovan Mitchell via some type of trade. So the Sixers, they're going to need some help from Donovan Mitchell, most likely, right? Like, because that's the problem with like, hey, it's okay, we'll just go trade for another star. It's like the Sixers don't really have the history of like great success organization-wise. There's a lot of questions of like, is that organization just really a disaster? I mean, look at the Ben Simmons situation. Look at the James Harden situation. Like, how many stars are lining up going like, oh man, that's what we want. Let's go line up and go get traded to the Sixers, right? Like, the Sixers have kind of painted themselves into this corner of just perception and image in a negative manner. And so I just, like, if Donovan Mitchell and the Knicks want to be together, he's going to go to the Knicks. I just see him going to the Knicks because he wants to be a Knick. Like, if that was the worst kept secret in the league last year, or, and then if the Knicks are like, yeah, we still want him, which again, I don't really get, but whatever, if they say that they still want him, then guess what? They're going to go get him. Or what if, like, an Oklahoma City wants him, right? What if they're like, man, we get SGA, which I don't know how SGA and Donovan Mitchell would look, but, like, what if they're like, hey, let's go make a push. We got all these picks that we need to unload at some point anyway, right? Let's go get him, right? Like, Donovan Mitchell is going to have a bit of a say just because he does have the ability to just leave whatever team trades for him, right? And he's probably going to want to go to a contender. Is Philly a contender with Donovan Mitchell? I think you can make the argument yes, because I don't think that the Sixers are already going to be a top 3 team in the East. You add Donovan Mitchell, I think that at worst keeps them there. And if the dominoes fall your way, all of a sudden you're in the finals, right? So I do think the Sixers make a lot of sense for Mitchell, and I do think Mitchell makes a lot of sense for the Sixers. But I just don't know how they get there with Donovan, or necessarily any star, like any upper echelon type player, right? Like, could they get like a Zach LaVine? Sure, because like Zach LaVine still has multiple years, and I don't think he'll have the demand that a Donovan Mitchell will, right? But a guy like Donovan Mitchell, I do think that there will be teams trying to acquire him. And then on top of those teams trying to acquire him, I just think he'd probably rather go to some of those teams more than the Sixers, just because of like the reputation that they've built. But I don't know. Anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? Do you think the Sixers end up landing Donovan Mitchell at some point? Do you think no? They're good luck. It's not happening. Do you think he leaves the Cavs? Do you think he re-signs with the Cavs? However you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. So let me know down in the comment section below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. It helps me out a lot, lets me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate you. See you in the next one. Thank you.